Yeah. Hey everybody, let's get started. As Brandon just walks in front, taking some super still, chill video. All right, getting a video this year. Welcome to Random Hacks of Kindness. This is our 11th event, and we've been doing it for a number of years, and it just keeps getting better and better. And so, welcome. I am Brett Tackberry. I, along with Brandon and Paul and Ray and Tamimi, help. We all work together to put this on. I'm the CTO at Rebel.com. Don't know, Rebel.com is a domain registrar and hosting company. We help people get online, and inside that mission, we try to reduce technical barriers. We try to help people. We educate people. Folks that need extra help. Folks that initiatives like this. I get a lot of support from Rebel to run an event like this. We host people in our space downtown in the market, and all within the mission of helping people get the most out of technology. You can find me on Twitter at Tackberry. I don't say a whole lot, but when I do, it's really good. Or you can find me on LinkedIn under the same tag, and my pronouns are he and him. Brandon is back there behind the camera. Paul's over here in the corner. Ray's somewhere on his way to San Francisco, but Tamimi, he and Tamimi help out. Tamimi's over here, and he works. Tamimi's over here. All right. You are here. We are on traditional Algonquin land, and we have, as Ottawans, but also within this event, we have a strong connection to our land and our community, and whether we're working on problems to help, we work on issues that deal with the community and folks that are, have to get around, need extra help getting around, or we're helping folks communicate. We're helping, issues with diversity and inclusion, and all in that. I think it's a very locale-based thing. It's a very place-based thing, and it's one where we're very much connected to the land. And in Ottawa, we are very much connected to the land and our river. We're not really doing anything, that's dealing with conservation or our river this weekend, but very much stuff that has to do with our land. So I want to make just acknowledgement that I do this because we have to. I want to raise some awareness about our history of colonialism, the presence of our Indigenous people, and the land rights and all the issues. So if nothing else, it's a reminder or a prompt to go and spend a little bit of time understanding those issues and understanding our history. And I'll work on that land acknowledgement over time. I'll get there, I promise. But this is a hackathon for social good. Okay, so we are here to build with the community. We're not solving people's problems, we're solving problems together. We're building with the community. We are using technology to empower social enterprises, community organizations, and nonprofits. I always show this. I like this diagram. I drew it, but I show it because it really, I find it really represents what we're doing here. There's a chasm right now between the technology and digital sector and those folks that are on the front line trying to do good things in our community. There's a chasm in access to resources, to education, access to expertise, And just knowing what that first step is into trying to use technology as a strategic resource to to better do their jobs, whether it's efficiencies or reaching out to the communities. This Random Hacks of Kindness is an experiment in how we different ways that we can connect those two groups, and that's why we're here. That's why you're here. A lot of folks here have been to Random Hacks before. A lot of new faces, and there always is a good split there. And I'm really happy to welcome new folks to here because if nothing else, I love this concept as an experiment, as a way to connect these groups, to introduce folks to other parts of our community that you might not have access to on a daily basis. Okay, so just a few notes, and I'm going to turn it over to our organizations that you're going to hear from. There's an event details page that has scheduled for the whole weekend. It has links to Twitter and YouTube and signing up for Slack. So make sure you check it out. I'm sure you all have for sure checked it out, but just want to make sure you do. This year we're going to do a better job at recycling and splitting up our trash. Just in the past we haven't done a very good job, so we're going to make sure that things are labeled, but it's going to be mostly up to you to put cans with cans and papers with papers and other waste with other waste. Okay. Slack, we'll be doing all of our communication on Slack. So make sure you sign up, please. A lot of you already have, but if you don't, and someone says, "Hey, get on Slack," well, you'll be doing that first thing in the morning, anyways. There's a link on to the Google Share Drive on Slack and within the project channels. Follow along on Twitter and post updates on Twitter. Take photos. Help get the word out. This is how we're gonna, how this idea propagates. It will be done through social media for sure. We're live streaming right now. So the camera's right here. So if you don't want to be live streamed, stay on that side of the camera. And we'll be live streaming the presentations on Sunday too. Don't worry, we don't get a whole lot of viewers. So I mean, if that helps you make your decision, please step in front of the camera. But if nothing else, for posterity and in the future when they learn how to go back in time and take all the information, all the valuable information out of this video, that's when you'll be in trouble. Anywho, pronoun tags. There are pronoun tags over here. I have mine and him on here, so I urge you to do the same. Go find the pronoun tags. Lots of stickers on the desks. Lastly, Google Cloud Platform. For all technology requirements this weekend, come see me. We have a deal with, Google Cloud Platform is actually a pretty big sponsor starting this time around. And we can spin up any sorts of infrastructure we want for our hacking this weekend. Cool. All right. Any questions so far? Okay, great. It's going very well. Big thank you to our sponsors. Adobe has lent us this amazing venue, and they have for the last couple of years. And we appreciate it. We really appreciate it. Rebel, I work for Rebel. We're a great company, and if nothing else, check us out. I can get nothing else. Come ask me. I can give you lots of sorts of deals, all sorts of deals you want on domain names. It's really just ask for it, and we'll give it to you. But they support, like I said before, they support me and us in supporting the community. UITV will be here this weekend for sure. They've supported us before. They're out in Canada. They do cool publishing software. Click, Tamimi works at Click, and if you have any questions about Click, it's a data platform, and he's got lots of cool stickers, and he'll be able to answer all your questions about Click. Lighthouse Labs is a learning platform, is learning platform is educational. How do it?
Lighthouse Labs is a coding school.
Coding school.
Coding camp.
There you go. And if you have any questions about Lighthouse, Sarah will be here all weekend too. Canadian Banknote. Brandon works at Canadian Banknote, of course, and they make all of our money. You've definitely had interaction with them. But then I'm sure there'll be some little duckies or something this weekend. You'll see. Internet Society. Internet Society is another sponsor. Extreme Networks. Paul works at Extreme and provides our world-class network, and has for a number of years. Paul's been a great supporter. So thanks, Paul. And he's also be buying your coffee all weekend, so you'll appreciate him more and more as the weekend goes on. And then also others, industrial, an agency here in town, Foci Solutions, another great professional services firm, and then of course Google Cloud. All right, so quickly, the schedule for this weekend, Friday is project pitches, and following the project pitches, which will be 7, maybe 8 minutes long each, we'll do some questions. Well, there'll be some time to mingle, but you probably want to float around the room, ask some questions of the project owners, and understand, really, try to find out the project that really resonates with you the most. Okay, Saturday, we have breakfast. We'll be here. I'll be here at 8:30, probably around 8 actually. Breakfast will be here at 8:30. Come at 9. But get ready to get started. The first thing that will happen in the morning is a project briefing, go over some details, time to kind of settle in and ask questions about what you're trying to get out of the projects. Then, get to work. We'll have lunch at noon, and lots of working all day long. In the afternoon, I have 2 workshops set up for you. One, Sharon, I'm going to learn to pronounce her name tomorrow. But Sharon, I'm sure a lot of you know Sharon, and she'll be giving us an inclusion intervention tomorrow. Sharon's an inclusion diversity consultant. She's going to be give us a great little workshop tomorrow here. And then at 3 p.m. we have chair yoga. You don't have to bring your own mats. You don't have to change or nothing. Just kind of sit in your chair and get the blood flowing. And we'll keep this place open till about 11 p.m. Lots of work. And then Sunday, same morning schedule. And at noon, we'll have the presentations. And so please invite your friends and family to their presentations if you want. And it's a great time to show off the fantastic work you've been doing all weekend. Anyone can come. Tweet about it for sure. And the more the merrier. Okay. All right, project pitches. Any questions? All right. This is the last time to ask any questions, so no, I'm joking. So, I mean, obviously I'll be here all weekend, as will Brandon, Paul, Tamimi. You can find us anytime to ask questions. Okay. So, Kim, we're going to get started with you. Come on up. So just give me a.
Come on, like let's make a deal or something.
No, there'll just be this awkward silent
right.
time for about 30 seconds while I get your presentation signed up.
I have puppets in my. I could do a puppet show while we're waiting.
Okay. So what do we have here? How to use, put it in the drive. Have it. No, there'll just be this awkward silent time for about 30 seconds. If this just works, what I think.
Woohoo!
Woohoo, indeed. Okay.
I just hit that.
That's it. Just click.
X. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm not from Ottawa. I thought I needed to come out of the closet about that. Actually, from near Kingston area. We're so excited that we have this opportunity to come to the Random Hacks of Kindness event in Ottawa. I'm working with the Ontario Coalition of Rape Crisis Centers. I'm actually with Primal Glow Communications. We're a tech-adjacent company, so we work with not-for-profits and governmental organizations to help build their capacity to use technology. Because as you guys know, they get the technology or they find something really cool to use, and then they don't know how to use it possibly, or they don't know how to use it to the extent that you can actually use it. So my background is in not-for-profit with a tech geek side, and so that's where we come in. So the Ontario Coalition for Rape Crisis Centers, I'm going to talk a little bit about them. Click. So they work towards prevention and eradication of sexual assault. The provincial network represents 29 English language community-based sexual assault centers in Ontario that offer frontline counseling, crisis support, and prevention education in communities across Ontario. You guys actually have 2 in your city here in Ottawa. Since 1977, sexual assault centers have been providing free and confidential counseling, information, and support services to survivors of sexual violence. So we got an innovation grant from the provincial government 4 years ago to do using technology to better support survivors in frontline settings. And our goal was to build the capacity of frontline workers to use technology. And none of the money could go to actually building something. So we had to find pre-built technology to use. So we were looking at video counseling and support, supplementary tech support to between crisis or counseling sessions, and crisis support through chat or text. So we talked to the centers, I traveled around the province to talk to the centers. We've been doing this for 3.5 years, and realized that we couldn't find a crisis messaging service that actually would fit what we needed to do. We used several, we piloted, we had an opportunity to pilot them. We found out what the pain points were. That's a new terminology for me. And we found out what was really working well. And the unique thing with this piece is that there are 2 users that we have to keep in mind, the support seeker as well as the frontline facilitator. So, and very different needs as you can imagine. So what happened was we were like, okay, well, this is what you've got to use. Good luck. And I was going to ride off on my donkey into the sunset and not have to worry about it anymore. And I guess I do actually have a donkey. And the government came back to us and said, hey, why don't you build something? And we were like, why didn't you say this in the first year? So we put in an application, we got an extension, we have a stupid amount of money, little, tiny bit of money to actually create a messaging service or a crisis support platform that would allow, well, here's the objective, to improve access to crisis services for sexual assault survivors by establishing a user-friendly online platform for communication with individuals seeking services that is scalable and affordable. Such a little goal that we have. So, of course, I started chatting with peeps that I don't know, and that's you guys. And you all fell off your chairs when you found out how much money we had, and then started sharing with me ways that we could probably do this without us having to, we might have to find more funding, but to get rolling on this. And eventually, thank you, Louisa, where are you? We landed and met Brett from Random Hacks of Kindness, Ottawa. So, I am so blessed. I went to Civic Tech Toronto, did a presentation there. We had 20 folks there, meet with me, chat with me, and presently I've got 2 awesome user experience design researchers who are working with me, volunteering their time, and we're doing volunteer interviews with those who have tried using the crisis support chat service stuff that we've had, as well as what we learned in the 3.5 years. So what we really want to tell you what we are hoping that we eventually have out of the service. We want something that has privacy and security, a service that provides an anonymous connection that does not show IP address or does not require a support seeker to register to use. Users' privacy is protected. User-friendly interface. The platform needs to have a user-friendly design system for those who may not have high digital skills or are comfortable using technology. And a platform that is affordable for the centers and easy to maintain. Many support seekers face access challenges when seeking support. This platform needs to provide services as barrier-free as possible, including meeting the AODA, which is the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act requirements. The platform requires continuous improvements and additional features, and the platform will meet the minimal requirements to accomplish the user jobs, including the support seeker and the frontline worker. So the idea was we were bringing this here with a hope that we could. Should I talk about metrics? So we were told about an API, which I can't tell you what that means. I know a little bit about it. Matrix.org. That is an open source service that we're hoping to perhaps use. We're looking for. We don't want to overcomplicate something. All we're looking for is something that would bring a support seeker to connect with a frontline worker. And Matrix, which Brett has had an opportunity to suss out more for us, because I can look at the page, look at the videos, and go, I have no idea what this is. It would possibly allow bridging between tools like WhatsApp and Slack, texting, and it's a very secure service. Anyways, this is something that we're bringing today or this weekend to possibly use as for the API or as the API or whatever that is. So we're hoping that you think about it. I brought curds today from Kingston, which are not Ottawa curds. I know you guys have a whole different curd here from Quebec, which is a very different curd if you didn't know that. Brent's hidden it over there somewhere. But we would love to have you working on this if you're interested. We have folks who are coming from sexual assault centers to meet and chat with you if you would want to learn more about the work that they do. We have the coordinator of the Ontario Coalition of Rape Crisis Centers here, and I have to say she's been in the job 3 days, so she, where are you, Jacqueline? Oh. And then we have our external evaluator who's here for the weekend, and our awesome user experience designer, researchers who are going to be helping us as well. So I hope you guys consider it, and if you don't, thanks anyways, the end. Those are my alpacas bites. All right.
Just a quick note on Matrix. Matrix is a pretty cool open source, basically framework like Slack, and it's pretty neat stuff. I spent a bit of time with it, so I got to know it a bit. Okay, next up, Kenzie. You're up next.
I'm very low tech, so I don't do
Pretty
any of
cool
that.
open source, basically framework like Slack.
So I'm Kenzie. I'm with Stopgap Ottawa. Stopgap Ottawa is a subsection of the Stopgap Foundation, which is out of Toronto. And what they do, it's a nonprofit organization that builds ramps for one-step businesses. So we try to get the word out about accessibility, inform people, educate, and try to get store owners and restaurants and business owners on board to actually build a ramp. It's estimated that about 1 in 5 Canadians aged 15 years and over had one or more disabilities that limited them in their daily activities. Most people think, that the amount of people who actually need some sort of accessibility accommodation is pretty small and insignificant, but it's not, and it's actually growing, especially as the baby boomers boom. What we're wanting to do, so the Stopgap Foundation, Stopgap Ottawa, we started in 2015, and we actually started, I wasn't one of the original members, but basically there are 3 of us, 3 core members who are sort of organizing all this stuff. We have our day jobs, which have nothing to do with Stopgap. So this is something we do in our spare time, just trying to spread the word and get this out. So what we wanted to do today with this weekend with this hackathon is to create an app that would be a database of one-step businesses that we could approach to run. Some people said, okay, well, why don't you make, we were actually approached to do this project by people who said, well, why don't you join Random Acts of Kindness, and you could make an app that lets people know which businesses in Ottawa and beyond are actually accessible. So it would be like a rating kind of system, but there's already an app out there that's doing that, and they just got a big grant. So to improve that, so we had to think, okay, well, this is a great opportunity. We don't want to miss it. What can we do? So we sort of brainstormed for a bit, and we thought, start very small, and just sort of, it would help us. We thought, okay, it'll help the world, but we would get this app so that others would be able to imprint it, take a picture of the step, name of the restaurant, address, whatever, and we would sort of do the rest. So getting users on board to sort of help us do some of the legwork.
All right. Keep them going. Yeah. Okay, come on. All right. Where you put the stuff up on the drive, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This one?
Yep. That should be it.
Hey, man.
Okay.
Take it away.
Hi, folks. My name's Alfred Coates. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a project manager for a small SEO web design company here in Ottawa. But the reason I'm here is because I also sit on the board of the Ottawa Safety Council. How many people here have heard of the Ottawa Safety Council? Okay, a few. That's not many. One of the big reasons that I came on board as a director was because I really felt that their branding needed a big jump, a really big pump. One of the things, you probably drove past an employee of the Ottawa Safety Council today, maybe a couple of times. We actually run all of the, let's get into what the Ottawa Safety Council is. I think we jumped ahead there. Here we go. So who's the OSC? We're a nonprofit organization. We've been around a long time, since 1967. Actually started as a motorcycle training program. So people that do their M1 licenses, learn how to ride motorcycles. It expanded into all kinds of the Best Fit program, which is installing car seats, pedestrian safety, which is walking kids to school. There's a walking school bus system. Bike safety, which is teaching kids bike rodeos. If anybody's gone and done a bike rodeo before in their school, that's put on by the OSC. So it is a non-government and a non-for-profit organization. The money we make from motorcycle training, for instance, as well as the Ottawa Crossing Guard, we put that money back into our programs, and we can offer the Best Fit program, which is basically showing people how to install car seats correctly into their cars. It's a kind of a big issue. One of those particular ones which I'm quite interested in, and I follow along. So our mission overall is simply to provide road safe services, and I think it's a big deal, especially now. There have been a few deaths this summer, people on bikes, and we're very much involved in that. We work with the city very closely, in the city of Ottawa, as well as the police services. Now, let's talk about what, here we go. So Project 529, I don't know if anybody has heard of Project 529. That's something we actually work with the Ottawa Police Services with. If you have a bicycle, you can register your bike at, I'm just going to mention a couple things we do because I think they're great programs, which you register your bike at this Project 529, and if your bike gets stolen, the police, if they find a bike, they'll check that code and you can get your bike back that way. So that's just a little thing that we support. And then the school zone safety is the walking school bus, the cycle safe program for kids, and pedestrian safety as well. So we're kind of all over the place. It kind of feels like we're doing motorcycles, we're installing car seats, we're doing the crossing guard. ties it all together is roads, right? We all have to travel, we all have to get around, and honestly, there's no reason that people should be scared to ride a bike in Ottawa. And we feel if we start young and we get kids really learning how to obey the rules, how to look out for cars, what people are doing. Everybody assumes that a driver of a car can't see you. But that's not why we're here today. So let's talk about why we're here today, and that is the Adult Crossing Guard program. So there are 240 locations in the city of Ottawa where there is an adult crossing guard. And they work about an hour and a half in the morning and an hour and a half in the evening. They're paid, they're not volunteers. They are employees of the Ottawa Safety Council. They have to be there. So our contract with the city basically stipulates that we can't have any crossings that don't have a guard. So there's a very minimum, sometimes people get sick, it happens, right? And we'll miss these, but we don't have a way of knowing if people are there or not. The coordinator will get maybe 15, 20 calls in the morning. People, oh, my kid's sick, I can't make it. So she's rushing around like crazy to try and find somebody to go and take that spot, to make sure that there's a person at that corner. So, what can we do? This is our challenge. We would love to see, ultimately, for a crossing guard to get to their corner, take out their phone, and say, I'm here. That's literally it. I'm here. And then on the other side, at the Ottawa Safety Council, they have a big map that they can see real time. Is that corner staffed or not? And if it's not staffed, then we need to get somebody there right away. And we don't, at this moment, have a way to know absent driving there or a parent who calls us and tells us there's somebody who's missing, to know whether or not that is staffed. So it's very important. It's part of our community. It's literally making sure that these kids stay safe so that they can cross the street. That's, in a nutshell, the very basic aspect of the app. Ideally, though, I think that this here, I'll show you a picture of what, this is how many locations in the city we currently staff. So it's very broad. It's all the way across the city. A large part of what we do at the OSC is like HR, right? Like managing all of these people for an hour and a half a day is very difficult. So my idea here, at least with this simplified workflow, you can show up, you hit I'm here, it goes back to a map in the main office. She'll be able to see whether you're there or not. If you are, great. If not, we got to get somebody dispatched there right away. Now, that's the very basic. And if we can accomplish that this weekend, awesome. That would be amazing. And I think what we'll do, or ideally, we'll roll this out to, say, 20 or 30 guards and get a sense from them, how they feel about it. Are there any other options that they would like? One of the things we talked about was, like if a driver runs a light, they have their phone on them. We can do incident reporting. We can capture people's license plates. There's all kinds of applications that we can add to this thing down the road. If they're late, we can send them a push notification, like, are you there and you forgot to check in? Are you not coming today? They can push back and say, instead of calling in the morning, maybe they just sent a little message back saying, I can't make it today. We need somebody else to cover my shift. So there's a lot of extensions we could do, but in the very basic system, if we can prove that people are at their corner when they say they're going to be there, I consider that a success. Okay. The other part of this project, I think, is because of this is Acts of Kindness, and really these are, whatever we produce here will be open source and available to all kinds of other not-for-profit organizations. This type of application would be amazing for like the Ottawa Race Weekend. Anywhere where you have a huge number of volunteers that have to be at specific locations at specific times, this could be used. So if you're willing to participate with me to produce this, I think not only will you be contributing to a very core part of our community, but also this is something that could have legs. This is something that could grow and could be a part of a lot more here in Ottawa. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Alfred.
Very core part of our community, but also this is something that could have legs. This is something that could grow and could be a part of a lot more.
started. Keynote or the PowerPoint?
Keynote's probably it's what it's drafting.
I won't lie. PowerPoint actually works when I start two screens.
Well then, let's PowerPoint. Let's see what happens.
Okay. So
There's not a whole lot of sex in them, so no flying things, you know.
all right. Over to you.
So good evening. My name's Peter, and I'm here with Anna, who is actually the sort of the organizer and the drive behind the organization, and that I've been working on a project to create. So what I'm going to talk to you tonight about is what I think is a pretty cool project. I'm originally, I spent about 8 years at Nortel in the corporate design group, so I'm a bit of a geek. I'm sort of borderline geek, but not hardcore. I don't get into the guts of it like you guys. But at least I have some sort of idea of how we best use technology. So the project that we're talking about is, and I've just got a kind of a harebrained idea of an icon, something like that, and we're calling it Getting Out. And if you can remember one thing, if you think about ways for walking, you've got about 90% of it in terms of what it's all about. But before I start yapping about technology, I'll let Anna tell you a little bit about the organization, SWOOS, or Seniors Watch for Old Ottawa South.
Hello, my name is Anna. I'm from Senior Watch Old Ottawa South. I'm a senior, and I like to get out. And I'm telling you, winter is coming. I'm already nervous because I have fallen a few times. I broke 2 hips, I've broken my back, but it's not going to stop me. I want to go and walk to my store. I want to walk to the library. I want to walk to the swimming pool because if I don't use it, I lose it. And what do? Just take a car and depend on others? No, I want to get out. And what happened to me, what really made me mad, was 3 times. I was trying to walk to the swimming pool, and 2 times I couldn't get there because it was so slippery. I thought, I'm not going to ending up in a wheelchair. No, I went back. The 3rd time, there was a nice man, young man, who helped me across that icy barrier. I had my swim. I got out of the swimming pool, but now I had to go back. So I thought maybe the staff in the swimming pool could help me across that icy barrier. But I guess it's not in their mandate. So what do? I thought, well, I could maybe crawl, and it was really very scary. But again, a nice man helped me across the icy barrier, but I had so had it. So I started with a few other seniors like me. We started an organization called Senior Watch Old Ottawa South. And we like to do many things, but one of the things is walking, getting out in the winter time. You know, you can maybe go and see your sidewalk and it seems okay. But what is happening around the corner and the next street? You don't know. How do you prepare yourself? If you walk on bare pavement with your walking poles and your cleats, you look a little bit silly. Anyway, I'll leave the rest to Peter.
Great, thanks, Anna. So the context where Anna's driving this process is in Old Ottawa South. We're basically just south of the Glebe. But I think you'll see that this kind of project is really transferable across a great number of cities in North America because of the problems of snow and ice accumulation. So in terms of how we would define the problem, it's interesting. Like in 2018, they were defined, and probably you've noticed this too. I spend my life hacking out ice off my driveway. Last in 2018, there's 89 freeze-thaw cycles in Ottawa. So we've gone from having a whack of snow to a lot of ice and snow. And ice and snow is a deadly combination because you get ice underneath the snow and then boom, you're down and out. Right now, we've approached the city. We're talking about the city. How do we try and manage that? Really, they don't have a plan. They're in the process of reworking it now, but they have nothing really serious happening until about 2021. So who are we doing this for? we're doing it for really three groups. Primary group to start certainly is the elderly. And just look at the demographics. Elderly is increasing significantly. It's now about 20% of the urban population, rising to 25% shortly. So this is a significant portion of the population. Also included in this are people like the strollers, caregivers, people with mobility assist devices, anybody that can be compromised when walking outside in the snow. So what happened, the project started with an initiative by the Ottawa Council on Aging, and they called it the Snowmoles Program. And essentially what they wanted to do is to have people go out at snowmoles audits, where they would you'd walk systematically around the neighborhood and report on the walkability conditions. Great idea, but the execution was really weak. Primarily because everyone would go out at the same time, come back, fill out a piece of paper, that paper would go to somebody else, and then that would go into an office, and then the data would have to be entered. And by the time the data got entered, it was already stale. Maybe the plows had come through, maybe the conditions had changed. It was super manually intensive. It was an interesting idea, but it wasn't sustainable. And also, there was no effective way of getting information if this roads were being maintained well. How do we feed that information back to the city? And there wasn't a way of doing that. So what we're trying to do, I sort of came in and participated in one of these audits, and with a technology background, and I thought, look, the paper-based reporting system is just not practical nor sustainable. And I said, what we've got to do is we have to try and basically go from a manually intensive process to something that's really easy, accessible via mobile device. It could be other seniors, it could be people walking dogs, it could be anybody in the neighborhood, or just me as a conscientious student if I'm driving down Bank Street from one section to another, and I have to have something that I can just, it's running on my phone all the time, and I just say, okay, Pete, I'm responsible from Bank, from 417 down to the canal, and you know what, the sidewalks look pretty good. And the bus stops, well, they seem to be cleared out, but something I can do in process, zero effort input. And that data is then immediately captured via the mobile device into some sort of database, and it can be used, hopefully, to be translated into a map. So that basically now you've got seniors or people with mobility issues, rather than thinking, oh, it's snowy out there, I better not go out, to in fact, the streets are cleared, but, or maybe Bank's a nightmare, so you take another street. So it's really trying to provide immediately time sensitive, because what happens is that, we get a big dump of snow, tomorrow it may be clear. But so we need to have timely information which is intuitive for the users in order to be able to get out and plan their activities with. We've been talking to the University of Ottawa, we've talked to U of T, we've been talking to some software developers in Montreal with some similar projects, and I'll just touch on those. But the key thing is that what we realize is that we need to have, ultimately we want to be switched into the city database, part of the Open Data Initiative. We want to get the walkability information into the city and then back out to users in some easily digestible format. And the benefit, though, is once we give it to the city, eventually we'll give the city feedback as to how well things are going. We can also get information back from the city saying, okay, the sidewalk plows have been down through that area, so what was a red condition or a dangerous condition is now likely to be much better. So there's a lot of potential if we can start talking intelligently with the city and working in cooperation. And there's also some really interesting things going on where you start thinking about, well, how else can we derive information? And what about Environment Canada? What about frost and ice warnings? What about, so you not only have information potentially coming in from people reporting, but you can also be pulling in information about, well, we're going to be hovering around zero. And that's going to allow us to make some inferences about what sort of conditions are out there. Key thing, though, is that our population is not really technology intensive, so the user interface is going to be critical. We want to say, is it safe or not? That kind of thing. We want to sort of not get lost in the technology, but make a very usable device. In my research, trying to figure out, okay, let's not reinvent the wheel, what's been going on. There's a number of programs out there. Interesting, there's a local developer, a guy, I don't know if you guys have seen PotSnap, which is basically a Microsoft message type-based application reporting potholes. That's sort of interesting. There's, he's really engaged, but he's working on his own project. Neapoli and City of Ottawa app, those are really initiatives that come out of other hackathons, I think, actually, or other sort of hack kind of environments. They're talking to what the city calls the Ottawa 311 database. And that's basically when you call 311, it's going into a database, which is then distributed. And so those are ways, there's sort of first blushes at it, but they, there is initiative and experience in that area. What's really cool is what's been going on in Montreal, the InfoNedge down here, which is basically what they're doing is the City of Montreal have a pretty sophisticated snow clearing and management system. They got GPSs on all their trucks. They know where their trucks are. They know what they're going to be doing. So what the InfoNedge application is doing is basically saying, where is the snow plow going to be coming through? It's basically just reading off that database, but it's real time and pretty effective. The downside, the upside is it's applicable to everybody. Anyone who's had their car towed for $180, they care about when the plows are coming. But what it's not allowing, it's basically information out from the city as opposed to information in from other reporting. U of T had an interesting initiative they called the AgeCap application. Very similar, it's crowdsourced. They're basically saying it was focusing on an elderly population. What are the things that make a facility or an area age appropriate or friendly? And it was capturing information related to that. That software, though, is basically location-based as opposed to area or street-based, and it's actually not under much development. So, this interface is just a blue sky idea, but the idea being it's going to be linked to an individual. That individual has a certain area of responsibility, and you just go bing, 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 and then you're out of there. So that way I'm hoping that it will be sustainable and practical. In the future, we could look at other things in terms of voice input or taking photographs. There's no end to what you can do with technology. But right now, we're just trying to get the data in, and data in on time. So once you get that data in, what we're looking to do is basically throw it onto a map. And that's why I say Waze for walking. So whether it be Google Maps, whether it be Open Maps protocol, clearly we don't want to reinvent the wheel, but some sort of a mapping protocol that can take the data and encode it in an easy-to-use format. I've just got some notional screens there in terms of, maybe red is the conditions are bad. But obviously, temporal information is really important. So a report that's over 6 hours long, perhaps, it goes from red solid to red dotted, or maybe it starts to fade with time. So it gives you information both on the quality that the given area is not safe, but that was fed in 6 hours ago. So we want to, for sure, capture some time information as well. Clearly, you could use it on a mobile device. Some seniors will be wanting to use it on a desk-based device, hopefully with a standard kind of web protocol. That'll be seamless.
iPad.
Your iPad. And I've just got here in the window in the top. Maybe when we're on steroids and a couple of generations from now, we'd be looking at there's a freezing rain warning over all of Ottawa South, and that we can pull that information off Environment Canada, or we can look at specific areas that are problematic, or icons saying there are ice patches at certain locations. But we're sure as heck not going to get there now to start, but that's certainly where we could be going in the future. So what do we hope to do this weekend? Something, we've got to keep it limited. I've approached the city through a number of different departments trying to get into their database, because ultimately that's where we want to be. We're not going to get in this weekend. But what I want to do is try and create something that we could have some sort of a user interface. It goes into a magic box that you guys understand, and it pumps out some sort of usable information that's time sensitive. And really, we can sort of work together to figure out what that will be. Maybe next year, what I'm hoping to do is we'll basically go from the standalone system, standalone data, we'll start talking to the city. And, but that's next year, and hopefully we're working with the offices, they're going to be identifying the protocols to do that. But eventually, we're going to be not only looking at that, but we'd be pulling in information from things such as Environment Canada, and there's some really cool deep learning optical systems from like University of Ottawa. They're looking to basically stick a GoPro camera on a truck and use artificial intelligence to make some sort of assessment as to the quality of the sidewalks. So ultimately, we may be able to feed that kind of information as well. So key thing is to thinking about the architecture. We're going to have very limited scope, hopefully this weekend, but we set up the architecture that we can pull in data from other places. So yeah, really just to say we've got to limit our scope for this weekend. Just look at building a system, having some sort of future deployable or future expandable database, and spit out information. So, you know, and just to pull it all together, the thing is, seniors' mobility is really critical. It makes a huge difference in terms of quality of life, in terms of physical health, in terms of social integration, in terms of capacity to age in place and stay at home, which makes a huge difference, both their quality of life, but also healthcare costs. So getting people out in the winter is critical. And the only problem with that is with the climate warming, the changing Ottawa climate, it's getting worse and worse and worse. We've got more snow, we've got more ice. So whereas the need is increasing significantly, the capacity to get out is being seriously affected. So that's really what we're trying to do with the Getting Out app. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it really can expand and make a big difference in the lives of a number of people. So that's what we're trying to do. I hope you can join us.
Big vision. Big vision. Big vision's important. Nikki, you're up.
I'm pretty excited about it. I think it really can expand and make a big difference in the lives of a number of people. So that's what we're trying to do.
Which, this PDF thing?
Yes, that's exactly it.
So, yeah, just right left arrows.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. So my name is Nikki, and this is my first Random Hacks of Kindness, and just sort of sitting at the back and kind of remarking with a few friends there how incredible it is to see what can happen when you put social impact together with technology. And so thank you to you for kind of putting aside your weekend and to the incredible project managers just doing such great work around the city. It is very exciting to be here indeed. And so my project is called Even Hand. And the aim of this is to create meaningful conversations across Canada by building an open source, accessible web app that can connect subject matter experts from equity-seeking groups and from underrepresented groups with event organizers. And the sort of thinking behind this is that a lot of organizations in Canada are starting to increase their diversity and inclusion efforts, which is absolutely brilliant. But at the same time, we are seeing studies showing that quite often they're still using grassroots frameworks. So that means, perhaps in your organization, there is somebody who really cares about inclusion, but they are being expected to perhaps do it off the side of their desks, or you've got a sort of volunteer group who's putting a lot of time into this. And what can often end up happening, especially for an event organizer who is already rushed and busy, when they are looking for a speaker, they may be aware that maybe the panel that they've got is quite homogenous, but they still end up perhaps picking speakers that they have already had or somebody from their personal network, simply because time is of the essence. And so with Even Hand, again, the aim is to really easily connect these experts with organizers. And there are already groups out there doing this fantastic work, like Women in Color is one. And I just want to say already, from even being in the sort of outer skirts of Random Hacks of Kindness, Louisa so kindly connected me with Sharon, who was one of the people who was with Women in Color from the very beginning. And so what Women in Color do is they have a directory of women and people of color from the tech sector, always available to go on with speaking opportunities. So the my aim with Even Hand is very much to find these other organizations and collaborate with them, whilst again creating a web app that very much puts the focus on the expert and sorry, puts the effort on the event organizer. So quite often with a lot of the resources that are already out there, again, perhaps because this is not a particularly well-funded area, you can end up with tools that might not be very user-friendly. So the aim of this is to make it incredibly easy if you're an event organizer. So at the moment, I'm very excited to say that I do have a partnership with a local tech company called Open Concept, who have come on board and are really helping me kind of think about the accessibility elements of a web app like this, and also the sort of how to be more environmentally conscious with a tool like this. And so at the moment, I'm looking for sort of support with front-end design as I go ahead and secure key partnerships. The hope is to be able to launch this project in early 2020 with a sort of working prototype with a full launch by the end of the year. And so the challenge that I'm posing to the room today is to create a web app that filters through profiles easily. So, you know, of course, we all know with the internet, we are all overwhelmed with information all the time. And so the aim of this will be to only show up to 5 or 7 profiles at a time to limit decision fatigue. And also, again, to just make it so easy for an event organizer to find the kind of person that they're looking for, to make it so easy that they almost can't say no to using the tool. And so what I'm, again, looking for is front-end design and development and sort of researchers in the user experience and design areas. And so this is through Open Concept currently being developed on Pantheon, but through the wonderful connection with Women in Color, I have become privy to the fact that they are open source. They're open source, so their code is available, and we may be kind of trying to see if there's a way to just change a few elements around to create a tool that filters through and is very user-friendly. And I want to say a quick thank you to Srinidhi in the back there, who has helped me a great deal with thinking through the brand and the strategy for this, to Shalini, the Executive Director of Open Concept, and to Simran, who's sadly not here today, but who told me all about Random Acts of Kindness. So thank you very much.
Everyone was really, really quick with their presentations. So you have a lot more time back to talk and mingle and ask questions, ask important questions. And in fact, you can do that now. So I won't hold you up any longer. So here's how the rest of tonight could go. So I think what will happen is that the project owners will, well, where they are, you can go find them and ask questions, but don't hesitate to sort of move around, ask, talk to other projects. You don't have to decide right now, but get a good sense of where you'd want to work, because you'll have to decide tomorrow morning. Of course, nothing set in stone. If it, throughout the day tomorrow doesn't work out, by all means, move around. But yeah, okay, great. Any questions? There's got to be at least one question. Okay, question.
The last project said about events are organized. So those events will be corporate events where people are asked for money, or will it be some events which are free?
It's a great question, and Nikki would love to answer that question, and she'll be back there. Any questions for me? There's two there, one here. Okay. So sign-up's really easy. You just sit down at the project you want to work on. So sometime, so when you come in tomorrow morning, this will have a different orientation to the room. There will be 5 areas. The project owner that comes in first will get their pick of the best places. But otherwise, they'll have probably a little sign, or at least you'll recognize them. So just choose where you want to go and just sit down there. And that's how you'll choose. And so there isn't a formal evening out process, but never had to do it. So we've never come up with that process. People have always spread out. So I'm expecting that to happen again. But go to the place where you think that, well, A, is going to resonate with you on a cause base, but also where you think you're going to have the most impact. So there isn't a formal evening out process, but never had to. Never come up with that process. People have always spread out. So I'm expecting that to happen. No. So same. So it'll probably divide itself somewhat naturally tomorrow. There are definitely more. You'll probably find 10 to 12 people per project. Each of these projects has a couple different components. So there's definitely lots of work within each one to work on. What ends up happening, the project owners have given some thought to how data might flow, but if nothing else, or the different components of how this the project might work. And so there's going to be some self-organization in the first couple hours tomorrow where you decide who's going to work on what. But the project's going to have to kind of self-regulate and self-organize. But that's the goal of the first few hours, is to get to a place where everyone's working as quickly as possible. But it'll start with a project briefing, and you'll hear from the different components, and you might hear, okay, I'll work on this page, or I'll work on this part, I'll work on this database, I'll work on this API.
About 2001, you can keep an eye on Slack, where different projects get into posting pages and have some help in this kind of area, posting stuff on Slack.
Yeah, so all the presentations right now are in their respective Google Drives, and there's a link to the Google Drive in each of the respective channels. So you can get to all this material. And each of the drives also has other materials in there, whether it's sitemaps or databases or project briefs, they're all in there. Yes?
In the Slack is the dev or the Ottawa Civic Tech?
Ottawa Civic Tech. No, sorry, RHOK.
Neither.
Neither, yes. No, RHOK. There's a link to it on